Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of FPL Blackbox, coming to you after another international break. Seems like we've had just endless ones this year. It's been such a stop and start season for me, and it's difficult when you're not doing as well as you'd like to be to keep having these breaks in. You want to just get back on with it and get some more green arrows. But I enjoyed the game yesterday. I thought I don't really understand the Nations League, but I thought the last 15 minutes of that match were better than any international friendlies I've seen in the last ever. So yeah, I was quite happy with it. It was quite exciting, especially with the whole, it could have got relegated or promoted, just in 15 minutes. So yeah, it was good. So a few things to talk about today. I'm going to talk about my week last week. Finally ended a run of five red arrows. Finally got a green arrow up to 180,000. I did it with just the template players coming through for me, really. Robertson got 12 points, Alonso got 8, Salah scored, Aguero scored. And actually, all the players I've kind of got around the side, like Richarlison, Brooks, Success, Arnautovic, didn't really do much. So, yeah, it's a funny one. You kind of try and you want to kind of play the game differently. And I've sort of filled my team up with a couple of players who I hoped would do well, but they didn't really deliver. But they're cheap. I mean, Success is only 4.5, Brooks is only 5.1. They're not my big hitters. So they need to keep delivering, really. And actually, a big hitter that I want to talk about today is Salah, because I feel like Salah he's being quite consistent. I mean, his last points have been 8-2, 15, 8. 3-2, 8, 2-2, 8, 9-8. There are scores for this season. I mean, they're all right, aren't they? I mean, the 15 is good. I mean, without that 15 at home to Cardiff, you're looking at a ceiling of 9 in one game. I think that was the only game he actually returned away from home as well, which was against Crystal Palace. And the fixtures aren't that great. I mean, they've got Watford away next, then they've got Everton at home. That's a tough game to call. And then 2 away games, Burnley away, Bournemouth away, and then United at home. So I'm looking at Salah and thinking, wow, for 13 million, can I make better use of my money? And, before the international break, the last one of these I did, I was talking about how I needed to get Sterling in. Now you look at it and you think, well, Sterling didn't score, Salah did score, and now suddenly you're thinking, oh, do I really want to make that move? When really 2 weeks ago, I was all for it. So I am considering taking Salah out still. He does tend to quite like playing against Watford, if it last season's anything to go by. So it's one of those moves which could always come back and bite you. But looking at those fixtures, and I'm not thinking about captaining him, in any of those games, I don't think. So why should I be keeping a £13 million player sitting there? What you can do with the money is really good. So yeah, I'm thinking about a switch from Salah to Sterling. For City's pretty good run of games, and the fact City can just blow anyone away.
It's just one of those decisions, isn't it, which you always feel like could kind of define a season. You sell Salah and then he goes to Watford and scores a hat trick, and you've blown it all over again. But now might be the time to be bold. And actually, looking at Liverpool's recent results and the way they're playing, I'm kind of thinking maybe the double up on the defence is the better way to go. And leave the kind of attacking spots for City, who are just looking incredible. A lot of people are going for Laporte as their Man City defender of choice. I can completely see the logic of that. He's played every minute of their games. He's 6 million, so it's quite an easy switch. He's kept God knows how many clean sheets. 7 clean sheets in 12. Haven't kept any in the last 2, but trouble is, his best score is 8. And one of the reasons why I wanted to go with a really premium defence when I started, is because you get the kind of you're not just relying on the clean sheets, you're also relying on the attacking returns, and that's what I think makes these defenders worth 6 or 7 million. The prospect of getting these really big scores, 15, 16, 17 points for 6 million. With Laporte, I just don't see it. He can score a header. He could do what Otamendi did last year, but realistically, you're looking at clean sheets with him. He's not a very attacking player. He's not having loads of shots. He's not that kind of defender. So it doesn't make me want to make that switch. Instead, I'm thinking about being a bit clever with my Mendy replacement, and maybe going for someone like Gomez or Digne, because it saves you a lot of money and it means you can change the kind of focus of your team around a bit. So at the moment, I'm very heavy in the back, then kind of average in midfield with Salah, and then heavy up front. And if I take some money out of defence, that lets me really strengthen either my midfield or my strike force. So taking Mendy and Salah out for Sterling and Digne would net me 4 million or something, and then I've got 2 million in the bank as well. So it's quite tempting to spread the funds around my team a bit, and it is worth considering a player other than Laporte, I think, as a Mendy replacement, just to see what else you can do with the team, particularly if you've got Alonso and Robertson. I think holding on 3 premium defenders, you are quite reliant on them returning, because it means you have to make sacrifices in other places. There's lots of good options in defence, I think, for cheaper prices. I think you've got people like Chilwell, who's played really well for England the other day, getting forward a lot. I mean, if you look at his his heat map and things, he's playing really, really attacking. I mean, Doherty, if you haven't got him, I think is he's pretty close to essential. I mean, he hasn't got any attacking returns in the last 4 games, but it's not for want of trying. And with Huddersfield and Cardiff next, you've got to feel like that there's points, coming pretty soon. You've got people like Michael Keane, playing Everton. He's down to 4.9, so he's a little bit more expensive than Digne, but maybe a bit more nailed on. Pereira, Duffy, I think all of these players, or even someone like Van Aanholt. I mean, Crystal Palace's fixtures are a lot better after this Man United game. Burnley at home, Brighton away, West Ham away, Leicester at home. Someone like that, clearly got the potential for attacking returns. Should be a couple of clean sheets in there as well when Hodgson tightens them up. So I don't think that the switch from Mendy to Laporte is as easy as what a lot of people are making it out to be. I think there are definitely some other people to consider. So another player I want to talk about is Tony Martial. And I haven't been Man U's biggest fan this year. I thought the way they played against City was an absolute joke. I don't like what Mourinho's done with them over the last few years. I don't like what any manager's done with Man United over the last few years. They're just not the same team they were, under Ferguson. It is a real shame. But it's hard to ignore Martial now, and I know not many people are. His ownership's gone up to 12%. He scored in the last 5 games. Got 2 against Chelsea. There's a brilliant post I saw on Twitter, talking about how he's kind of overperforming for his stats. But really, he is the main man in that Man United team at the moment. I can't see him being dropped. He's too important for the way they're playing. And I mean, the fixtures couldn't be better really for him. Crystal Palace at home, Southampton away, Arsenal at home. Okay, not great. Then Fulham at home. I mean, those 3 games, Palace, Southampton and Fulham, I'd be very surprised if he didn't deliver in those 3 games. So I'm strongly considering getting him in, actually, as part of a hit. For 7.6 million, it's quite rare to have a Man United player in form for that kind of price. And yeah, I can't really see there being much risk with him, if I'm being completely honest. He's even a potential captain option this week, when I don't think the normal options of Salah and Aguero are really that great. If he can shrug off this injury, then I think he's a really good player to get. And quite a few people have made the point that United players tend to snowball in price. So this is the time when you want to be trying to build up a bit of team value just before Christmas. I mean, he was started at 7.5. He went down to 7.2. He's now back up to 7.6. So he's gone up in price since his original start. And I think if he gets another goal against Palace, then he could be looking at double or triple rise after that. So I think this is a good time to get him in if you're gonna do it. I can see a potential banana skin coming up soon. Now these international breaks out the way, we enter a very exciting part of the season leading up to Christmas, where there's just game after game after game, and your bench does actually become quite important. Now, I've never been a massive fan of having a particularly strong bench. I think Wan-Bissaka is an amazing option for us this year, as is Bennett as well, because it's so cheap and they're playing, and they're playing for teams who you can keep a clean sheet on their day. But then I'm looking at, I've now got Brooks, who I'm actually really happy with, because I think having a really strong first sub is important. And when I say really strong, I'm not talking 6-7 million. I'm talking about a 5.5 million who you can kind of call on it when you need to, who can kind of rotate a bit with any players who have doubts or injuries or press conferences and that kind of thing. Having that kind of player there, I think is quite a sensible move. And then I've got Wan-Bissaka, and then I've got Obiang at the moment, but he can kind of become someone else particularly if I sell Salah and Mendy. So I'm looking at going into that with going into the upcoming fixtures with a pretty strong team, pretty strong squad really. And there's going to be rotation. There's going to be players that miss out. There's going to be knocks and niggles and all those kinds of things. So I think now is the time. If you've got transfers to burn, which you'd be lucky if you do, but it might be worth getting rid of some of your kind of fodder bench players. I think bringing in a decent fifth midfielder is a good strategy. I'm very happy with Brooks. I think the way Bournemouth are playing, they can score against anyone. The fixtures are absolutely dreadful, but I can not play him. But then if he comes on, you never know what he might do. So I personally think Brooks is about as good as it gets for a fifth midfielder, and I think more people should really be considering him, particularly because Fraser's now actually, well, he's not expensive, but he's over 6 million in price, and I can see a lot of people aren't going to be wanting to play him over this run. So actually, maybe downgrading him to Brooks and upgrading another midfielder to someone with better fixtures might be a good strategy. Yeah, so a bit of a funny one this week in terms of black box thinking, because actually things kind of went all right for me last week. I am definitely considering a big shake-up of my team. I think there could be an 8 or 12 point hit this week. Mendy out, Obiang out, Success out, maybe Salah out. It's quite exciting. It kind of depends on a bit of the injury news. I think if Doherty's doesn't shake off this injury that he's got, then I think the -12 might be coming into play. If he does, then it's probably just going to be -8. So that'd be something to talk about next week, wouldn't it? Now that's all gone. But I think that's about it for this week. I just wanted to give my thoughts on a few of these different players and some of the decisions people are making. Hope you all have a good rest of your week and enjoy the weekend when it comes around. Thanks, everyone.